Hey guys, Knox from 7th Hour Films back again with Stranger Things. Last time on Stranger Things, we had the massacre at Hawkins' lab. So, I guess we can just start with that. Elle went to the final memories that she needed to see, in which she was going to escape thanks to the orderly. However, he revealed to her that he is inhibited. He has an inhibitor chip that limits him. So 11 took it out, and that, well, it wasn't inhibiting him anymore. So yeah, he got all of his powers back, and he revealed that not only is he Victor Creel's son, but he is also one. And then, after a fight between him and 11, she cast him into the Upside Down, at which point he became Vecna. So, yeah, that was interesting. Meanwhile, we had the gang in the Upside Down, being Steve, Nancy, Robin, and Eddie. They were trying to make their way, out, basically. They were able to make contact with the gang in the overworld, and eventually they did find another gate, and they realized that every time Vecna creates a gate, every time he kills somebody, he makes a gate, and all of this is in service for the Mind Flayer. So they managed to get through, kind of. They managed to get through at the gate at Eddie's house. However, before Nancy could go through, she was taken by Vecna, and Vecna revealed everything about himself to her. But yeah, we don't know. We kind of left that on a cliffhanger. Meanwhile, Hopper and Antonov were fighting the Demogorgon, and Joyce and Murray showed up, and they were able to get away. They did not kill the Demogorgon, but they managed to get away, and they reunited, and hopefully they can just get away from here as fast as possible, and, I don't know, call the United States military or something. I don't know. But yeah, so they got that, and there was absolutely nothing of Mike, Will, and Jonathan, so who cares? So yeah, that was pretty much that. We're on to the penultimate episode of Season 4. Isn't that crazy? And it's another long in. We've got 85 minutes ahead of us. So strap in and strap on because, well, yeah, we're going to be here for a little bit. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Stranger Things. Here we go. Hey, this episode got hit by copyright, so if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Stranger Things, what you gotta do is head down in the description or into the pinned comment. There will be 2 links there. If you're not familiar with this, then I'll explain it real quick. Basically, you click on that first link and that takes you to another website. It's a completely safe website, don't you worry about that. But it takes you to another website where the reaction is, and it's just the reaction, and it's edited, it's nice and good, and you can watch it and you can enjoy it. Now, sometimes that link doesn't work, or, one thing happens or another, so I also provide a backup link. That's what the second link is. So if you click on that, it's the exact same video, and it's fine. So, go ahead and go do that to watch the reaction. Sorry about this, not going to be happening with the finale. I've made sure of that, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. Go watch the reaction, and when you're done with that, do pop over back here to the YouTube video for the discussion. Okay. It's such a strange thing that my normal, TV show mindset is making me thinking, it's making me think, oh, well, with everything that they're building up, all this stuff, Vecna, and, we have everything. We've got Vecna, we've got, all this stuff, how he's setting up the Mind Flayer, the end of the world, the prophecy and stuff. I'm sitting here thinking, man, they are really setting up, Season 5, or they're setting up, a couple episodes, oh, man, here we go into this thing, and I have to, reprocess that and think, well, wait, the next episode is 2.5 hours long. They may go through friggin' everything they're setting up, Which, again, while that's a great cliffhanger before the final episode, the next episode's 2.5 hours long. You could cut that into 2 episodes. We literally just watched an entire season of a TV show, and now we're getting a movie out of it, we're getting a movie to wrap up the season, you know? Which is ridiculous. But it's good. And next week I'm gonna sit here and enjoy it, you know? Okay. I mean, it is really interesting because as much as I complain about the runtime of episodes, they are all pretty justified. Like, this has been my favorite season so far. Like, of all of them, like, this feels proper and epic, you know? And it's the same thing that happens every season. It's the same thing that happens every season is towards the end, all the plot lines converge. It happens every season, and it's happening here, with the one exception being the Hopper storyline. Like, I'm almost convinced that Joyce, Murray, and Hopper are going to get back to the States at the end of next episode and just be like, what the hell have we missed? It's the end of the world or something, I don't know. I don't know. Man, and it's so strange, too. I wonder how long they've had the idea of Vecna, you know? Because they haven't dropped any hints to him, you know, in the past 3 seasons. So I almost wonder, like, how long have they had the idea of Vecna, and especially of Vecna being number 1, you know? I don't know, but... Because that's the thing with everything of, why was Dr. Brenner so interested in the Upside Down? You know, he would send people into the Upside Down. Why was he always sending 11 into the darkness, you know? And now we realize it was all... I mean, it was to look for him, to look for Vecna. If anything, I'm kind of done with the Mind Flayer. Like, the Mind Flayer, like, yes, obviously this is all in service of the Mind Flayer. I'm sure the Mind Flayer powered one up by making him Vecna, you know? And, yeah, it's like, I can see that, but at the same time, it's like the Mind Flayer is just so far, like, out of my mind now that it's like, no, it's Vecna. And Vecna is the best villain we've had. The Mind Flayer, you know, yes, he is just this sort of omnipresent, at least in the Upside Down, force and stuff, but Vecna is so much more of a character. And part of it is he is somebody, which, boy, that takes me back to Sailor Moon, you know? My old Sailor Moon reviews, if any of you have seen those, I would talk about, I got so tired in Sailor Moon of the big entities of darkness. I got tired of them, that in the final arc, when Sailor Galaxia showed up, I was like, oh, this is, like, interesting because this is a person, you know? And I really enjoyed that, and now that I'm thinking about it, honestly, it's the same thing here. Like, I never get enough personality. Obviously, there's nothing you can get from the Demogorgon or anything. He's just a monster, and that's fine. But with everything with the Mind Flayer, I mean, he's just some cloud thing. Like, you get a little bit, like, when he speaks through Billy. But other than that, it's like, no, it's just some strange monster demon thing in another world, you know? Whereas Vecna, I like Vecna the most because he is a character. I really, you know what, that's it. That really is it, is that I just enjoy characters as villains. And I think I'm at a point where I'm tired of the great darkness, you know? I'm kind of tired of the great darkness nowadays, you know? And it's the same thing going on to other anime. You know, if you go to, like, Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, yeah, you have Zork as the final, you know, as like, oh, here's the big embodiment of darkness. But you also have Bakura. And he's more of the, I guess, spokesperson or personality, and he's interesting, you know? He has an entire backstory in Kal-Elna and stuff like that. Or, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just find that to be way more interesting, you know? Or like if you go to like My Hero, you have All for One. It's like, oh, he's, the epitome of evil. He's also a guy who just has a really, really good power. That's his character basically. And that's interesting. Tomura is interesting. You go over to JoJo, they're all pretty much like that. On JoJo, even when you have like the god of all vampires and cars, he's a character. Dio is a character. Kira, anyone else, whoever is going to show up in part 5 when I get there. Like, it's all characters, and I know this is just such a weird thing for me to highlight, but yeah, I'm kind of done with the big evil entities, I'm kind of done with the big evil entities. Now, I say that knowing full well that, I don't know how long this show is going to last, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be going into a 5th season, and at a point, it's going to have to be the Mind Flayer again, But the thing is, the Mind Flayer, I mean, it's just the fact that he was the villain in Season 2 and Season 3, albeit a bit differently in Season 3. So I'm just kind of sitting here like, well, I don't know. It's like, I don't... Like, we've defeated him to some degree before, so I'm just like, I want to move on from the Mind Flayer a bit, Or at least I want the Mind Flayer to evolve, If they do something really interesting, then I'm all for it, But I'm going to need something for the Mind Flayer. I'm going to need something different, something good with the Mind Flayer, because now Vecna has set such a high standard that the Mind Flayer now has to live up to that. And yeah, that's just it. I am done with the big entities of darkness. I'm done with that, I want characters. And this is totally... Because, most stories do that anyway, There aren't many stories nowadays that just have the big entity of evil, Like, there will be, the occasional one. Actually, just in my line of sight, I can see Zelda Breath of the Wild, and honestly, Calamity Ganon doesn't have much of a character, You still have that character from previous versions of Ganon, but still. But yeah, it's like there's not many that is just the big entity of evil anymore. It's just that I guess I've consumed media about that so heavily and so recently. It's because of Sailor Moon. It's because they did that 4 times on Sailor Moon before they finally got an interesting villain, And no, Nehelenia doesn't count. Queen Van Halen, she sucked. She sucks in the manga. She's better in the anime. In the 90s anime. You don't really care about that. You care about Stranger Things. But anyway, I just wanted to make that a point. So, criminy. I mean, now I know some of you guys told me that that when they were making season 4, they decided to go much darker than before. And the reason for that is they've wanted to go pretty dark since the beginning, but because their main stars were children, they were like, well, maybe that doesn't really fly, And especially if there are younger children that are watching this. But now, people, who started with Stranger Things, if they were really young when it started, they have grown up alongside the main characters. So now they are doing much darker stuff, and I really enjoy that. And quite honestly, they've also made it much more epic. Like, it's such a strange thing that it's like now Stranger Things, I feel like, has gotten just 1,000 times better, Even though I bitch about the long run times, and again, I feel like you could do that without sacrifice. You could, pace this out better, or, re-edit the episodes, make, just cut it to where there's, a higher episode count, but more standard episode lengths. I still think you can do that, especially next episode. I'm sure you could easily just go right in the middle of that episode and cut it, cut it into 2 episodes. There's no reason next episode needs to be 2.5 hours long. You don't need to cut anything, but you could just split it into 2 things, you know? You could do the same thing here. This was, 80 minutes or so? You could cut that into 2 42-minute episodes and it would probably be fine, you know? But, again, I don't want to cut anything. I definitely don't want to cut anything from these episodes. I would just rather them cut into multiple episodes. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's so interesting. I guess we're basically just how different this season is, you know? And especially with Vecna, you know? Let's go over notes. The first thing I wrote down, Tell 11. Yeah, Vecna definitely, he remembers. He remembers the 10-year-old that beat him. I don't even know how old she was in that flashback, but yeah. And okay, so I was right that, because I had forgotten, how long it was between the massacre and when season 1 starts. And yeah, it was a little while, at least a couple months. And in all that time, it was Brenner was sending her in to look for one, you know? So it might have even been a year later. We don't really know. But yeah. Tell 11. And you know, I can see some of the performance, because the thing was, I really liked him as the orderly, but he is so different as Vecna, you know? But when you really, when it's a close-up and you really look at him, you can still see him in there, but the voice is so different. I mean, just everything about him is so different, and that's obviously because they didn't, they don't want you connecting it. They don't want you connecting it right away, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things where it's I really liked him as the orderly, so it's I'm having to reconnect this in my head of yes, now he is Vecna, you know, and I have to circle, connect those 2 performances of the orderly and Vecna together to then properly enjoy it, you know? So yeah. I absolutely love too that in the horrific future that Vecna showed Nancy, he showed her mom, Holly, and Mike all fucking dead, but not her dad. I fucking love that. That is so goddamn funny that they know nobody gives a shit about the dad. Nobody gives a shit about the dad. I love that so much. I love that Vecna knows that Nancy doesn't give a shit about her dad. That is so fucking funny. Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's group some of these together. Let's group these notes together. And so we've got Max, because they need a 4th kill. Vecna needs a 4th kill, a 4th gate, in order to bring forth Armageddon, basically. So they need a 4th gate. He needs a 4th gate, which means he needs a 4th kill. But instead of trying to figure out who will be that kill, instead they're going to use Max. They're going to use Max to bait him, and then, while he is consumed by it, because again, it is, it's 11's powers. I like how they think about that. It's look, when she does her remote viewings, when she does her remote viewings, she goes into a trance. Vecna has to do the exact same thing, because he has the same powers. So, while he's in a trance trying to kill Max, you go in and you kill him. Oh, boy. So, yeah. So, they went to the war zone, which was interesting, and they stole an RV, which was funny. Which I like that. That was really good. And then them going... I love too that dude didn't care that a teenage girl was buying a gun. Ah, welcome to America, you know? Welcome to America where you can just you can just walk in, buy a gun and leave, you know? Welcome to the United States. We kind of suck. Oh god. But someone else who can do that is Jason. Jason, who is see, it's less believable. It's less believable that Jason would round up the entire town against Eddie than it is for nobody to question a teenage girl at a gun store. You know? Why was not lesbian there? Why was I don't remember her name, and I don't fully care, unfortunately. You know, bigger stakes than Robin's love life, but still, I don't remember her name. But why was she there? Why was she there at a weapons store? I guess that she got mace. Is that it? I don't know. Why was she at a gun store with her boyfriend? I guess. Man, who isn't a big fan of Judge Reinhold? Guy's great. He's a national treasure. I don't know. But either way, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. She is not a lesbian, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Robin. And also Jason was there being fucking weird. And the whole thing of like, oh, so where's your brother Mike? He's part of Hellfire. And it's like, do you really think she's going to give up her brother to a guy who wants to murder people? And he does. He wants to murder Eddie. And he wants to get to the Hellfire Club, too. And honestly, I don't know why Nancy didn't just say, he's in California on spring break. Fuck you. Go away. You know? And I get Jason is just so unhinged, but fuck him. The only thing I can think now is that he's gonna somehow follow them into the Upside Down. But I mean, even if he, like, follows them and they find the gate and he goes through, he's just gonna think, oh, this is all, like, I was right, this is all real, and Eddie's a vessel for Satan. I mean, he's probably gonna think, oh my god, there's a portal to hell that Eddie just went into. And even if he sees Vecna, he's gonna be like, oh, so this is Satan, who Eddie is a vessel for, you know? Like, at this point, there's probably no convincing him, you know? There's no convincing him. Well, better kill him. Of course, honestly, with all the grief and problems that he's having over Chrissy, what if Vecna targets him? You know? Be like, oh, well, I understand that you're all... Man. I understand that you're all trying to protect Max, so instead I'll just take this high school jock instead. That's the best I can do. I don't know how that dude gets his voice so low. It's really good. I really like his voice as the orderly, you know? Papa doesn't always tell the truth. You know, it's this great, like, honestly, if they ever need another Joker, this guy needs to be up for the part, because this dude's really good. But yeah, it's like, I don't know how they get the voice so low, but they do. But yeah. Anyway, and then they made weapons, which was really cool. They made a bunch of weapons, which was interesting. Meanwhile, in Russia, so there was a demodog that they were, I guess, dissecting, and they also... What the fuck are the Soviets doing? Man, I don't got time for the Soviets. They literally just predicted the end of the world, and we're out here dealing with Soviets. Soviets are out here trying to do all this crap. They got some mist thing. I don't even know. I don't know. We don't got time for them. But yeah, they're trying to get out of there, trying to get out of the Soviet Union. Good luck with that. We got Will totally being in love with Mike. Like, 100%. Like, geez. Like, this poor kid, this poor boy. Everything he's saying about Elle, all applies to him. But Mike's not going to figure that out. Mike ain't going to figure that out. Jonathan figured it out, though. Jonathan absolutely figured it out. Part of it, though, I do think also applies to Jonathan when it comes to Nancy, you know? Which I hope that, like, goes... I don't know. Is that going to go somewhere? Because they keep friggin' hinting at Nancy and Steve, and it's like, don't leave out poor Jonathan, you know? Poor friggin' Jonathan. But more to the point, it all applies to Will. I brushed all my hair, and that's still sticking up a bit. Alright, I guess that's just how it's going to be today. But yeah, all that applies to Will. Man, that kid's a good fucking actor, I must say. Even with the bowl cut. The dude is fucking acting his goddamn heart out. It's great. It's great. It's great. And they did manage to find... So while they were not able to warn them ahead of time, they were able to be the escape ride for 11. And that's the important thing. What else? Well... 11. So she reawakened all of her powers, but honestly, I'm positive that there wasn't actually anything left. It's just that Dr. Brenner didn't want to lose her. I'm pretty sure that's it. Man, see, I hope Dr. Owens is okay, though. I hope he's okay. I mean, the army, I don't think they would kill him. You know, they might arrest him, but... Man, I hope it works out for Dr. Owens. But, yeah. Dr. Brenner, bastard that he is. I like how they also mention that when one kills, he consumes. You know? So, who knows how strong he's gotten in the Upside Down. But, anyway. But the more important thing is the choice. The choice that was taken away from 11. Yeah. It was too soon. But I'm pretty sure, honestly, like... Because, yeah, there was no time to waste. But I'm pretty sure it's that Brenner didn't want to lose 11, you know? He didn't want to lose her. Oh, but Owens was ready to just piece the fuck out, you know? So... But yeah, but all this time, and I like that. I like that, you know, going through this arc, and especially, you know, with earlier when 11 thought that she was the one that killed the others, and it's like, no, you know, everything that has happened, you know, she thought she was the monster, but no, Dr. Brenner was the monster. That was a good moment. And yeah, always looking for one. Because, yeah, it's like... Now, look. Henry was already a screwed up kid, you know? Henry already had his issues, you know? He already wanted to, like, murder society and everything. And we live in that, you know? So there were already, you know, things with Henry. Dr. Brenner made it worse. Dr. Brenner absolutely made it worse. And then he made, like, 27 others, you know? So, yeah, all of that... The real monster. Maybe the real monster was the friends we made along the way. Anyway. But yeah. That was a really good moment. And then he drugged her and put the collar on, and which I don't know. I don't see how she can't use her powers on it. Oh, God. You can tell it's getting towards the end of the episode because I'm starting to yawn. I'm getting tired. We've been recording for nearly 2 hours, so, you know, that happens. God help me next episode. God help me. But yeah. But he's the monster, always sending her... And that's the thing. Was this always the plan? Did they always have Vecna in mind? I don't know, because there were absolutely no hints, you know? maybe they had a vague idea, and then they were like, "Hey, why don't we? Let's think about that. Let's expand that and expand on that a bit." You know, I don't know. I don't know. Especially the whole thing of he was sending people in to look for one. He sent her into the darkness to look for him. You know, but I don't know. And all the people that have died, all in search of the golden boy, the prodigal son. But no, he's the monster. Dr. Brenner is the monster. And good that 11 had that character arc, but I don't know. I don't have they had that planned, or do they just, hey, let's roll with this, you know? I don't know. Then the army came, and so the whole thing of like, oh, do you think it's some boogeyman, or do you think it's Dr. Brenner's little pet? And it's like, well, technically it is Dr. Brenner's little pet, but it's his original little pet. And apparently there are no records about any of this. Did Dr. Owens... Like, clearly Dr. Owens must have known about this because he sent... You know, he knew what 11 was going to see in the memories, you know? But was there never... Like, presumably, Dr. Owens saw all of this when he took over Hawkins' lab. And then, if he had made that report to Sullivan, shouldn't Sullivan know about this? I mean, but then again, how does Sullivan not know about the Upside Down? He's an idiot, that's how. He's an absolute idiot. Netflix just broke or died or whatever, so I know it's been about a half hour since I started talking. Anyway, but yeah, he just thinks it's it's just his little pet, and he's gonna sell it to the Russians, and I'm the military guy, and I can't expand my possibilities. And I get it's a ridiculous thing, but you're already talking about a girl with superpowers. There's a hell world out there where another guy with superpowers is killing people. There you go. And if you really knew your shit, you would think that would be a possibility, you know? I don't know. Either way, 11 fucked their shit up. So I want something to happen to Sullivan. He's just an asshole, you know? But I guess... I know it's the whole thing, he doesn't know any better, but also fuck him, so. Yeah. And then we had the death of Dr. Brenner, for real this time. The for real death of Dr. Brenner, where first time he got shot like 8 times. But I like the whole thing of, I need you to understand that everything I did for you. And it's like, yeah, why don't you keep telling yourself that? It's like, I'm glad that 11, didn't give him that satisfaction at death, It's like, nope, I'm out of here. Bye. So that was good. And that is the true end of Dr. Brenner. Remember when I used to call him Bill Clinton? Nah. That was a long time ago. That was 4 years ago when we started Stranger Things. When I started reactions to Stranger Things, that was 2018. Jesus Christ, that was 4 years ago. But yeah. And now they're off. They're off to Hawkins. And the war begins. And I still love using that song. What a great use of that song. Like, that is so friggin' out. Because that's a great song anyway. So I love how they use that. But yeah. Next week, we have got our work certainly cut out for us. 2.5 hours we have next week. Just as a little heads up, I'm going to be cutting it into a part 1 and a part 2. So stay tuned for that. They will both pop up on YouTube within, I'm going to say, 5 minutes of each other. So, yeah. Can't wait to do that. Yeah. It might also be like 5 to 15 minutes. I don't know. Depends on how YouTube scheduling is going to work with that. But yeah, in pretty close succession will be part 1 and part 2 of my reaction to the finale, because there's no way I'm cutting 2.5 hours down to like 15 minutes of footage. Not with this show. So that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Stranger Things reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.